This is how it is. This is how it is. This is how it is.
With deleted scenes. Hi guys, over live on Deleted Scenes channel.
This is how it is.
That's you and me, Anima.
This is how it is.
God, I hope they mention Martin. There is it. Ah, there's Martin Sheen.
This is how it is. Today.
It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have.
We are here today to talk about, Gene Hackman first. It's hard to believe what's happened to him. The last few days have been like dream, weird kind of stuff. Just the things that are coming out in the news. But when it really comes down, I think that it's not going to be foul play. I think that it's just a series of fucking weird events. And I can see how it happened now in my head, that the last time they were seen by friends and family was 3 weeks. But it sounds like it was a week to 2 weeks since the maintenance guys last talked to them. And I think they said 2 weeks on that one. And so we've got reports back that their hands and feet were mummified. Some people were saying something about the space heater, but the police said the space heater wasn't on, that they believed it was on the counter and fell off the counter with Betsy, and she may have knocked it over. The big mystery really in this situation, this tragedy, is what happened to the dog. And I believe that maybe, just maybe, it was trying to get into the pills because it was in the house while the other two were wandering around, and she locked it in the closet. And it doesn't take long. Anima and I were talking about it. It takes approximately 72 hours for a German Shepherd to begin dying without water. If it was locked in a closet and they were in it for apparently possibly 3 weeks. So it's just tragic all around. Martin tends to think that it's foul. There's something hinky about the whole thing. And I'm not going to tell him that he's wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I think there is that possibility. But in my mind, I think it's all starting to fall together, what happened in that house. And it's just tragic. It breaks the heart, man. Because Gene Hackman really was. It broke my heart when he retired. And he went out on such a shitty movie, Mooseport. I hated that movie. I wish he had gone out with the Wes Anderson film with the family, the weird rich family.
The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, the Royal Tenenbaums. Because we're going to do that one. It's on the list. I have a thumbnail already made for it. And I totally want to do that film because his character, him and the Indian manservant friend, just fucking slay me. Their relationship in that movie.
Yeah, he's the one who stabbed him.
Your real name is Enoch? What was that? Gambit is my YouTube name, but my real name is Enoch? Is that Scandinavian? Well, anything before this movie starts. Yeah, don't tell anybody how it ends. Oh, man. But we've lost... Man, the last 24 hours, dude, we lost Joseph Wamba, one of the most prolific authors and writers of police drama. Hey, Tom is here. Hey, buddy.
Hey, I don't have too long, but I thought I'd pop in since
I wanted to invite you because
movies.
I know you love Gene Hackman too, and yeah. I wanted to give you a chance to come in. So yeah, lay it out, buddy, before you go. Let's hear some thoughts.
Oh no, I mean I got about a half hour, but I mean this is just, it's one of the best westerns ever, one of the best Clint movies ever, probably one of Gene's best performances ever, because it's also one of the more complicated heavies he ever plays too. Because Little Bill isn't exactly a bad guy, right? I mean,
No, I actually agree with some of the shit that he did.
I mean, yeah, he's doing his job for the most part. Is he a little full of himself? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But on that note, everything he does in the movie up to the point where he goes just over that line with Morgan Freeman's character is justified.
He goes way over. He's torturing them. Once he starts the torturing process is where he loses me. Because I believe that he handled the situation, even with Penny. Or is it Money? Money. Is it
William
Penny?
Money.
No, it's Will Money. William Money.
William Money.
Because there is a Will Penny too movie, and I get them that conflated. But yeah, I think
Will Penny, I believe, is the Stacy Keach or whatever movie, isn't it, or something like that?
For some reason,
somebody like that.
Heston's in that too.
Yeah, maybe I can't remember who it is, but yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I really agreed with him what he did with Richard Harris's character, because he knew why he was there and he knew what he really was. He knew his story, and he wanted to make an example, and he had every right to do what he did. I absolutely stand with him on that one, because that's Old West justice right there.
The duck of death, I says.
Yeah. So but even when he beats the shit out of Eastwood's character, I was like, I can't get mad at that. But when he changes technique and goes to a whip, that showed something.
Well, he goes from being just a bully to a flat-out villain at that point.
A brutal bad guy. And so
it's not just the whip, though. The girl says he started hurting him worse, so he might have used other instruments as well.
Yeah, it's like he was torturing him.
Yeah,
and he killed him. And he killed him torturing him. And boy, I tell you, man, that was when I could no longer see him as a good guy. He was now
I don't deserve
gray.
Deserves got nothing to do
nothing
with
to do with it. I love also when he says, "We all got it coming." We all got it.
Well,
coming.
and that's the beauty of this movie, is that basically every character is a piece of shit.
Yeah,
or was a piece of shit.
Basically, except for the whore. Like, the whore is the only kind of innocent in the whole situation, right? Like,
yeah, the younger whore. Yeah, the young whore who got her face cut up is actually, she's young and naive, and you feel for her. And but even like Will Money, his life was changed because of his marriage, and he didn't want to drink anymore, didn't want to sleep with no whore. You could see that he had gone the right path, changed his life. And the same thing goes for Morgan Freeman's character, because in the end, he couldn't pull the trigger to kill him. Couldn't do it. Couldn't fucking do it. And because he had become a good man. And the kid starts out acting like a tough guy, but he's all bluff.
He realizes he doesn't want to be a bastard like the rest of them. And that's why he's gone at the end.
And it's even funny because I don't know about you, but I caught that little nuance the first time when I saw it in the theater. When he says, "Oh, you can keep all the money," he's actually scared that money's going to kill it. The kid, you can keep the money. He goes, "You get your share. I'm not going to kill you. God, you're like my only friend. You're all I have left."
Another actor I love that we lost that's in this movie, Eli Wallach. He's the bartender.
Oh, yeah. One of the original Good, Bad, and Uglies.
Wait. Eli was in this?
Yeah. He's a bartender.
No.
I thought he was.
No, tall, creepy guy was the bartender in this.
Guys,
he's the pimp and bartender.
We have a super chat from Christian DeLorme. So keep your clothes on.
By the way, if everybody's having trouble understanding Martin today, just understand he accidentally mistook his tongue for a piece of meat while he was eating.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Martin.
Thank you for exposing my personal day-to-day life.
Bless you. Gesundheit. You can read it, Martin. Read it. Go ahead.
Oh. Oh, I think I lost.
Christian
there he is.
DeLorme's $5. There you go.
Well, he has been a member for 27 months. Oh my God, your
Outstanding,
tolerance
dude.
brain is.
Me love you long time. Me love you long time, Christian. We love you too, buddy. You know I
Ouch.
love you.
Then,
And I will be there this Sunday, buddy. I'll be there.
Let me find. Oh, this is perfect for this.
What's the secret?
I don't dare tell you.
No meat. You don't eat meat.
I masturbate a lot.
Okay, I think.
Tom, when he's old, you're going to be just like
true.
Curtis Borgnine.
I already am.
You're like Curtis Borgnine when he's your age.
I even look like him.
Do you? I don't think you do.
He's
That's
got
a
more
better
hair.
look.
You're right.
He's got an ugly face. You still good looking, buddy. There you go. I love that face. That's why I like drawing you. Wait a minute. Christian DeLorme with another $5. I got a theory.
Nice.
Little Bill was friends with Two Guns, Corky. That's why he did what he did to Richard Harris. Wait.
Maybe.
Oh, that's a good theory, dude. Because he knew exactly what happened to Two Guns, Corky.
I don't think so, because if that were the case, he would have killed the Englishman right there when he killed Corky.
I would have killed him in the barber shop when he talked about it was okay to shoot the president. I would have just slit his throat as a barber. Just let him go.
Yeah, oops, I sneezed.
Ask him, hey, can your mom stitch? Oh, have her sew that. Christopher Walken, Joe Dirt.
And we have Bush.
Let's give him another video. Come on. Here, I'll give him this one. This is your video now, Christian.
And now a word from our sponsor, Gary's Wholesale Sausage Emporium. Are retail hot dog prices making you crazy? Come on down to Gary's for all your discount dog needs. Was this really the best we could do?
Blue Apron passed.
Okay. Let's get vulnerable, Langley. Let's get sexy. First caller gets 11 feet of Gary's signature summer sausage.
It's 11 metric feet.
No such thing.
No, they messed the signs up. It's only inches.
By the way, welcome to Shoshinovsky. I didn't say hi to you. I apologize. Yes, we lost Michelle Trachtenberg. That was the other one. And Martin was wanting to do a film for her, and I think we should do one of hers like on a Wednesday.
We lost David Johansen today too.
I saw that, dude.
We have,
which is funny because I already thought he was dead.
Yeah, well,
I'm not even kidding. I did.
Because I found out when we did Scrooged, when I looked him up, I'm like, holy shit, he's still alive.
I thought he died years ago. Yeah,
he just disappeared. You know, and it was when we did Scrooge I found out he's still alive, and I started talking about because I loved the song "Hit the Road Jack" and what was the other one he did that
when he became Buster Poindexter?
Yeah, Buster Poindexter is my favorite. Hot. I love those two songs, man. And he was also in the horror anthology movie with the black cat that comes out of his mouth. What was that? He was a hitman.
Tales from the Dark Side, right?
Yeah, Tales from the Dark Side. Yeah. Thank you.
Or Tales from the Dark Side. That's it. Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. I enjoyed the crap out of that. His segment was my favorite. Yeah, it's the one with Blondie in it too, where she's the witch that wants to cook the kid and he's telling her stories. I fucking love that movie. Buster Poindexter was the shit. In fact, that's what I thought his name was. And someone says, "Oh, you're a fan of David Johansen." I went, "Who the fuck is David Johansen?"
New York Dolls, man.
And that's when I found out he was with the New York Dolls. I'm like, holy shit, that's the same guy. Oh my God.
Nah. Oh my God.
He was a hell of an actor too. Like, yeah.
Oh, I think he was really good. Yeah.
And I thought he was also had passed away years ago. I could have swore I'd heard he died of like a heart attack or something like that back in the early aughts. And like,
absolutely.
I'm like, okay, maybe he didn't. Maybe he just had one and I thought he died. I don't know.
I think the Christian's drinking and he's throwing money at the stripper.
I was wanting to say this. Yeah, someone's having beer.
Someone's having his beer.
Oh no, Christian! Somebody lied to you. Gary's Sausage Emporium. It's not much of a mouthful. Ask anybody.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I saw a girl curl her tongue into that little thing.
It's like
with
sucking
it
on
in
a
her
nipple.
mouth. It's like you can fit it in one side of your face. It's really tiny. I suffer the Irish curse. So Read by Nature's hidden Cavatino Cavaminche is here. What's up, buddy? One of my fellow vets. 11 Alpha's here, another fellow veteran. He's a real veteran. He retired from the military.
Wait, I need to address this. I am not giving you ideas, Snort.
Right.
That steak was just really, really good. And it was so tasty that he mistook the side of his tongue and bit the shit out of it. So he's had a rough day, and we're going to take it easy on Martin. So let's get into some of this, Tom, because I know you just had a half hour. With Gene Hackman's role in this film, where would you place this, like, on all of his films? If you could rank it from 10 to number 1, where would you put this film and his role in it?
Probably is one of his most memorable, right below. Like, it would have to be like Lex Luthor or Popeye Doyle would be first. Right.
Yeah, Popeye Doyle's number 1. Absolutely agree with you.
Somewhere interchangeable between Popeye Doyle and Lex Luthor, depending on who you ask. And then possibly this movie, maybe Hoosiers, then this movie.
Hoosiers is people don't remember that movie, and they should. That is a great film.
It was a movie that used to make us watch in school at a certain age group. Like you, like if you were of a certain age, like you probably, chances are you were introduced to that movie in school. But yeah,
I always liked The Conversation a lot. That's like one of his best, in my opinion.
That's one of his classic ones that's kind of made a comeback in the last few years, because I had never really heard of it before. And then all of a sudden,
they made a connection between it back in the
Enemy
90s
of the State
and Enemy of the State, because they said he is kind of that same character, but years later. Yeah. And I'm like, I like that connection because
kind of like well, and it kind of works in the Jerry Bruckheimer sense, because Jerry Bruckheimer also produced The Rock, and everybody says that Sean Connery is 007. Yeah,
old and in prison for some of the stuff that he did as an agent. It's crazy shit, but at the same time, I kind of like some of the fan theories that are out there like that. And Gene Hackman,
there's only a few I like, and that's one of them. That and Carl Winslow is actually in hiding in Chicago for killing Steve Urkel, and that's when he becomes that kid that he shot. Yeah, that was Steve.
Right. Holy shit. That's a good fan theory. I like that one.
Kid.
Like, did I do that, Steve? Bang! Did I do that, Steve? Bang! Bang! Bang!
It was dark. He had a ray gun. I yelled, "Get out of my house!"
I thought he was gonna diddle my daughter.
Hey, we have. In fact, I have to run.
Tim is here. Yeah, play his video.
Yep, I'm on it. We have.
By the way, name are you known? There are some who call me Tim.
And another one.
Okay, hurry.
This movie has a really odd start and end, because it's a scroll of text, but it's not some it's like a poem goes by. It's
done like a tale. It's given
it's a Western. It's a deconstructed Western. First of all, we haven't even addressed that, right? It is basically, it takes every trope you've seen in a bunch of other Westerns, but puts it under an actual lens and says, here's how complicated the context really is when it comes to these things. Because, it's always white and black, right, in old classic Westerns. And this movie really kind of turns that on its head and really shows you it's the most grimy, kind of realistic.
Shades of gray, exactly. Typically, a character like Will Money would be the villain in this story, like in True Grit, the Duval character. That's really kind of what he is.
But in a way, it's taking a story that Hollywood used to take somebody like him and have John Wayne play him and glorify him. See, I think that's kind of more the point that Clint was trying to. And same thing with like Little Bill, right? Like, I mean, he's not as complicated as most bad guys would be, as the corrupt sheriff or whatever.
By the way, I was going to point out, I've known David Webb Peoples for years, the guy who wrote the screenplay, because he was the co-writer of Blade Runner.
It's also a comment on frontier justice as well, right? Because look at how Playing Telephone goes from she just literally gets cut, twice in her face? To all the stories that come out of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it has this kind of thing about it that...
Oh, yeah, where I heard they cut her face off and her nose, you hear the exaggeration. Each person tells it a little worse as it goes along. No,
it shows you how things could lead to frontier justice over even misunderstandings in some cases, or false identifications and other things like that, which kind of takes it back to that Henry Ford movie. I just forgot the name of it. I just watched it not too long ago, where they hang. It's all about. It's kind of like 12 Angry Men, but it's in the West.
Henry Fonda. Incident.
Or Henry Fonda. That's what I meant. Sorry, what was that, Stephen?
Oh, the
Oxbow incident.
Thank you. Yes. So it has a little element of that to it, but it's not making the same point necessarily.
But his take on the film. She wore a yellow ribbon. Was that it? No. It was his version of the OK Corral. Had some interesting ideas about his character in that one, and I think that's really where revisionist westerns began. And it got bigger in the 60s with the movie Sundance, Butch and Sundance.
Well, because Clint's only redeeming value is that he got married, had some kids, settled down. That still doesn't change. Person. Yeah, that still doesn't change who he was before. I mean, he even says, I've even killed women and children. Right?
I mean, everything that walked or crawled.
One time or another. Yeah.
One time or another. That's a great fucking line.
Because he's not somebody you're supposed to like. You're not supposed to revere him and be like, oh yeah, he's a hero. He's this great. No, he's this very vile human being who just happened to get a second chance in life, and that's the only reason we're rooting for him, even the remote. Because if we honestly saw because you're right, he's more like the Robert Duvall character in True Grit.
In True Grit, he is that character. I've always seen a similarity between those two with the scars and the shit they did. Man.
And the real tragedy of this movie is the storytelling guy sees the gunfight up close, and he's just going to embellish, so he's going to make him into a legend for murdering a bunch of men, including an unarmed man.
And I'm so grateful too, in this Shinatsky, that it wasn't told from a perspective. This is more like one of those films where you're kind of witnessing things from every angle. And so you don't have to have that reliable or unreliable narrator. It's just the story. And therefore, the bluntness of it feels more honest.
And I mean, there's so many things about it. Like, I'm sure, some people, I wish a lot of people would watch this who are woke as fuck. Because you could see in the whole idea of this is, the only reason any justice is brought on in the first place is because she's technically a piece of property that was damaged.
Yeah,
and that's kind of, I think, what a lot of people sit back and look at it, because the only person who treats her like a human being are the other whores and Clint Eastwood. Right? Nobody else treats her as a human being in this entire equation. And there's so many elements of that where it's like you normally wouldn't see in one of these kind of movies. Right? She'd be some girl who'd be down on her luck, and she's, being a whore because she has to be, not because she wants. No, she's just a fucking whore who happens to get her face cut up, and now she's worthless. Right? And she knows it. And her boss knows it. And that's the only reason any of this is happening, is because it's no different than if somebody come up and shot your horse. But then you have to ask yourself, is what they want done to these boys justified? Right? Think about it from was she hurt? Yes. Was she disfigured in a way? Yes. But is she going to live just fine? She's not going to have any problems. She can still eat. She doesn't need any extra help. She's not drooling from the lips or anything.
Still also pretty despite the scar.
Pretty enough. Exactly. Enough that Clint Eastwood would obviously marry her. Probably.
I'd rather be with you. Which actually is where I thought it was going to end up at the end when I was watching it the first time.
And that's the obvious red herring of the story, because that's where a John Wayne movie would have wound up.
Yeah. Exactly. It's exactly where it would. But instead, it ends the way it does, with him going home and threatening them. He says, "And don't cut up any more whores, or I'll come back and kill all you sons of bitches.
Well, and like I said, Little Bill is justified in raising the hell he is because these girls are out there bringing in all these elements that they don't want in their fucking town. These guys are coming in town to kill these kids. I mean, really, because that's what these ranching guys are. I mean, I'm not trying to justify what they did, but I mean, they were dumb kids who were drunk and made a stupid decision, and they hurt this girl. And the one kid tries to make it right.
Yes,
right? Like
that kid. I like the fact that he isn't a willing participant in the slashing. In fact, he tries to stop the other guy, but fails miserably. And
so, yeah, because I agree with you, because he really didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve any of it.
And he was the third person or third party that treated her well. He felt bad. He even tried to compensate, giving her the best animal was for her.
Yeah, but again, that also shows you the worth of this girl, right? At this time,
where she's the only one even thinking about her, though.
Kid has
Everybody
nothing.
Else just,
that kid has nothing. That's all that he can offer.
I like his kids and their conversation.
Now, isn't one of his kids a famous actor now here? That kid right there, isn't he the one that grew up and was in? Is it the one I'm thinking of? Is he the one that's in Varsity Blues and shit like that?
Let me look. I'm on
Vanderbeek?
No, not Vanderbeek. The other one. Or not. Maybe it wasn't Varsity Blues. It's Friday Night Lights. I'm thinking of one of those football movies. I'm trying to think of the kid's name.
I see Shane Thomas Meyer plays Will Money, his son.
Then it's not who I'm thinking of. No, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
By the way, Anthony James is a creepy looking dude.
Oh, yeah.
He always plays skeevy dudes in movies. And let me pull him up here so you can see. This is the bartender. And, by the way, Martin, you can hit play. Present. Share screen. Yeah, I was talking in the chat that a lot of killers came from Missouri in the 1800s, and a lot of killers migrated to Missouri from Kansas City and from the Missouri Breaks down south of us near Branson and Table Rock.
If you're proud about that, you're weird.
I'm not proud about that. It's just a history. What? Why would I be proud of that?
The problem with the Old West.
Sounded proud.
The problem with the Old West history is that it's full of Hatfields and McCoys, right? It all depends on what side of the story you're on. I mean, yeah, there's so many people that will say, "Oh, Billy the Kid was this great individual who did all this stuff, is like a Robin Hood figure." And there's other people who turn around and say he's nothing but a dirty, cold-blooded killer who shot people in the back and did all kinds of bad things. So I mean, it all depends on who you ask.
There's other stories about him too. Yeah, Jesse James. Yeah. You had to be careful even when I first moved here.
Oh, the James, the James family. Yes.
You didn't talk shit about the James gang. And I've been told still to this day, families take that shit serious here in Missouri.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is it's still kind of considered a touchy subject by certain parties.
Yeah, but here he is. This is Anthony James. A lot of fucking 80s movies, 90s movies.
Oh yeah, he plays those typical kind of roles.
He's the bartender.
I thought he was it Eli. Was Eli Wallach in this one, or am I thinking of another one he did with Eastwood in this time period?
Not this one. Not this one. I'd have to look that one up.
Yeah, because you're right. He would already been in, I think, Godfather 3 the same year as this, or the year before, whatever year it was. So I think, did this come out the year after Godfather 3, or because this is 91 or 92?
This is 92.
92. So this is like 2 years.
A year later. Yeah. Was it 90 or 91?
Godfather 3 came out in late 90, I believe it was, Christmas of 1990, and I think so. Yeah. Because this one Best Picture was, so it'd be 2 years after that movie came out, I think.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and that's what's her face. I can't remember her name. Great character.
There he is. There's a skeevy looking dude. And he treats it like property. And the Japanese version with Ken Watanabe, also distributed by Warner Brothers. Not very well known.
There's a Japanese version of this?
Yes. Yeah. And it's done as a Japanese Western, which is, they still show samurai shit because it's 1880, but they also have pistols and the cops wear uniforms that are period. I really thought it was good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's as good as this version, This version just simply is what it is.
So is this a remake of that, or is it vice versa?
No, the Japanese version is a remake of this.
So they actually
Japanese
did it to us for once. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That happens more than you know.
Yeah, they reverse engineered a movie their way. Yeah, there you go. You caught that, Tom.
And Frances Fisher is the name of the actress I was just mentioning, who's a great character actress in so many things.
Oh.
She plays Strawberry Alice is her name here, but yeah. She's the head whore or whatever, basically.
She was close friends, and I think she slept with Clint Eastwood back in the day.
And then you got Tara Frederick here, of course, is the one
Sandra
that was...
rocking her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of funny because this Tara Frederick, the one who plays the whore that got cut up, Sue or whatever her name is, she kind of reminds me a little bit of her. Same thing with Frances Fisher. So yeah, they kind of have a similar.
They have a very similar thing. Eastwood
clearly Clint has a type.
Yes, he does. He does. And thank God he's a really good actor, because I think that he absolutely would go whoring around. He's that kind of guy, and he admits to it. It was his weakness. See, what was it he said to that comedian that does a really good Chris Walken impression, blonde-haired guy, Jay Moore? He told Jay Moore, he says, "You got any shortcomings?" He says, "Yeah, it's booze and drugs. Mine's pussy." He actually told him that. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Fucking Clint. Yeah, I can't leave it alone.
I consider this one of the best tragedies ever put to film, because ultimately it's about a man's terrible nature. Yeah. Just he can't overcome it. That's why he rides off into the darkness at the end. He's damned.
I will usually argue it is the best Western ever made. Probably.
I think it is too. I put it right up there. If it's not the best, it's one of the top 3 greatest Westerns. Because for me, the battle is actually The Searchers, because I consider Searchers also.
That is a damn good one too.
The greatest Western.
For some reason, this one just has something about it. And I see why it won Best Picture, right? Like, it kind of had that feeling of like, yes, this is the last real good Western we're going to get. I mean, yes, we've had plenty of Westerns since then, but this is the last one that kind of feels like old Hollywood. Because remember, we're like a year away from Tombstone and only a couple years after Young Guns. So we could tell there was a new kind of Western coming in, a new kind of feeling that they were going to do with this. And it was like, what, a year or so right around the same time, or 2 years later, I think Quick and the Dead come out too as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that totally takes it to that next level.
Though I'm not a big fan of that film, I plan on doing that on a Saturday too.
Actually, it's aged very well, because I don't remember liking it when I was younger. And I just watched it last night, and I'm like, God, this was actually more entertaining than I remember. But the downside of it is it feels like a bunch of cutscenes from a video game.
Yeah. Do you want to do it on a Saturday with me?
Maybe. I can't commit right now, but
it's just
I haven't seen Open Range yet. I want to see that one. That's that Kevin Costner one.
Oh, great.
Did we already do that?
Open Range? No.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I do know it's on the list, because I had Anima watch it with me. And
yes,
I said, what makes this movie so good is the fact that he was dying while making the film and didn't know it. And it actually adds to his performance, Kevin Costner.
Well,
he had an inflamed appendix.
Yeah, and Alpha to comment on this, because he's not wrong. It did move into for the next few years we had, everything from Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman to Walker Texas Ranger, which is a modern Western. All were very popular. And you did have kind of like that MTV Western thing going on with, Young Guns through Tombstone and all that kind of stuff, which I felt was kind of kicked off by Silverado, which is another great 80s
Silverado was the most expensive Western ever made.
But that, I feel like, it kind of began that Young Guns / MTV kind of, yeah.
Yeah. If they hadn't done Silverado, there wouldn't have been a Young Guns. And that's a fact. Because Westerns were dead. Hollywood didn't want to make them anymore.
And that's what I was going to get to. Yeah, it's like, yeah, sure, they made some still, but as a whole, I mean, you guys got to remember, there was a time period, and Steven, correct me if I'm wrong, where like 75 to 80% of the films that came out were all Westerns.
Oh, yeah.
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 And then it slowly kind of tapered off, and then television kind of came into the fray, and that's where Westerns really kind of found their home on television with Gunsmoke and, you know, all those kind of shows on TV. And by the time you get to the 70s, you're only getting a few Clint Eastwood movies, the random John Wayne film here and there. And I think most of the films John Wayne made in the 70s were his non-Westerns. I think the only three that I can think of were like The Shootist.
He did The Shootist was what year was that? That was 76.
That was one of his last ones,
and right before he died. But he did McHugh and what was the otother cop movie in the 70s? And
he did a bunch of cop movies and other shit in the 70s. But yeah, he only did a handful of Westerns in the 70s.
Did one
Rooster Cogburn and
Rooster Cogburn, but he also did the third remake of El Dorado, where he was a Civil War general. And that was also 1970. And he did, was it North to Alaska? Was that the one that he did in 71?
I'm not sure, but even then, Clint had kind of like, you go into the 70s, that's when you get the last few of the Clint major Westerns too, because by the time you get to the 80s and 90s, he only did what? Two Westerns in 20 years?
He took a hit with Paint Your Wagon. And that him.
But I'm saying, like, because between the 70s and 80s, or 70s and 90s, the only Westerns he made were what? Was it High Plains Drifter or Pale Rider? Which one came out in the 80s? I always get those two flip-flops.
Pale Rider was the 80s.
Okay, so he did Pale Rider, and I think that was his only 80s Western, wasn't it? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And then he did this one, and that was it.
I think you're pretty much right. And then his last movie that he starred in, he shouldn't have been in, to be honest with you, was a modern Western.
Well, there's a couple of movies he did there, and the few movies that he did that he shouldn't have been in. There was the one where he was
Cry Macho. He was just wrong for the part. He was too old.
Yeah, the movie was wrong. I mean, it's a decent film, but it was not meant to be the movie that Clint Eastwood was making. I don't think it's more like a Hallmark fucking movie. That's the problem with that one. The ones that I'm talking about are like in the era of like true crime, where he's in like his 60s playing guys that clearly are supposed to be in their late 30s, early 40s. Right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Where he's playing like this fucking, and he's dinking girls that are half his age and shit like that. And it's like, dude, we all know how old you are, Clint.
Okay. Another.
By the way, have you ever seen this movie? If you've never seen this movie, watch this movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, and I'm just saying, like, good. True Crime's a great movie, but the problem with it is this. I hope that's the era where Clint finally realized, yeah, I can't be starring in each and every one of these. I need to find somebody younger to be in some of these movies than just direct.
Yeah, because Cry Macho was a good film. It didn't work because he's too old. And I actually liked the movie, but I'm like, God, you just
Gran Torino should have been his last
movie
acting thing. Yeah. And I think he would have went out on a high note. Yeah. And especially with Juror Number 2, if that ends up being his last directed film, because my God, I mean, that's how you retell a story. If for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's basically 12 Angry Men with a hell of a twist. And,
a great twist at the end. And I love the fact that he shot the ending two ways and chose the one that he used, because it's ambiguous enough to where you...
Well, the whole movie has that interesting twist to it, right?
At the end, though, I'm sitting there going, she's there for a reason, and it has to be that reason. She's not there to have a conversation with him. So, because they shot it with cops behind her, and they shot it without the cops. And people, well, maybe he stood away with them, like, there's no fucking way she showed up at his door.
Well, the whole reason he did that version is so there is a question of whether or not they are just going to talk, or, you know, is she really just checking in on him to see? That way. No, Clint, I believe, actually addressed that, and that's what he said, because that's where they said there was the two different versions, and the one with the cops, it's obvious. It's obvious what's happening there. The other one, it leaves it open for discussion, and that's what he wanted. He wanted it open for discussion so that you can kind of have that debate. Right exactly. Is she there just to check in to see if he's really what he says he is, or what, you know, he presents himself as, or is she really there to kind of get?
Because that was one of the things that was brought up by one fan I had a conversation with, was maybe she's there to tell his wife.
I think his wife figured it out already. That was the thing. See, she was one of the first people to kind of put two and two together.
Yeah.
No, she figured it out the day she showed up. Remember? Because she comes to because after the conversation, she's like, wait a minute here. Because she's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And then she asks him, she's like,
and the math doesn't add up to her.
Yeah. She's like, were you drinking and all that other shit? And he's like, no, I didn't. But he knew that nobody would believe him because he bought the drink, right? Like that was the problem.
Yep.
No, I know that's a great fucking movie.
It is, and if we need to do that, and actually, I'm going to tell you too. Go ahead and watch it, dude. Tom, Love Hurts. I'm telling you, check your brain at the door. You're going to have fun.
I've heard some nasty things about it, but okay.
I've heard some nasty things, and I heard some good things. What I did is I went into it going, okay, I'm not going to look for a smart movie. I'm going to look for something else. So I put my brain aside and just sat down. And I ended up fucking enjoying myself. And he's little Jackie Chan. That's all he is. He's little Jackie Chan, and I fucking love that kid.
I had fun with Heart Eyes, which if you haven't seen,
what
Heart Eyes? Yeah, it's basically a slasher and a romantic comedy mixed together.
Eyes, yeah,
Heart Eyes.
Mark sent me that film to watch because he does his reviews too. Mark Center. And he said that it's worth a watch. So I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. Christian Lorem, I'm sorry. We are getting back to you, buddy. I'm sorry. Christian Lorem with $10 Canadian, which is, what is that now? I don't know how much that's worth because they're in trouble up there. And
about
always pray for you,
American.
buddy. I pray for you and your wife all the time, buddy, and your son. And just for the record, he says, contrary to what Gary and Anima say about me, I'm not a French Canadian drunk, just like an Austrian or Virginia boy who loves life and beer. So, fick both of you.
Is that the real French
connection?
connection?
I'm an Austrian who likes beer.
I have
an
a
Austrian
good
who likes
for
beer.
him.
That's abnormal.
It's unheard of. I've never
unheard of.
I know, very strange. I know.
No, never.
I'm also a woman who doesn't like chocolate.
What's next? A German who likes beer?
Yeah, right. Outrageous.
Okay, for Christian, we have this one.
What? You didn't really think we'd kill the fucking koala bear now, did you?
The fluffing koala bear.
I actually love that movie, by the way, Tom. That's another one where
I
checked
have
my
bumper
brain at the door.
stickers still from that movie.
My buddy Kyle Fisher and I, when we were in the Army, we would be off doing shit, and if we saw each other at a distance, we'd yell. One or the other would yell the person's name. And I would yell, hey, Kyle, here's to you, sucking my dick. And we did
It's
that
just
all the
sad
time.
because that was almost like the end of his reign. Like that was his peak and all at once,
He
kind
peaked.
of felt like.
No, that is true. He peaked at that point, and then it was all downhill after that.
Well,
And
even
I
that
feel
movie
bad.
didn't do that well, and not only that, it has the soundtrack has the last Billy Idol single that actually charted too.
Yep.
Oh,
But I do. I love the soundtrack to the movie. I love that he had Josie and the Pussycats in it. It is based off of a graphic novel, and a lot of people don't know that it was a comic, man. And
I think it was
thought
set
they
up
did
to be like a series, and it just didn't.
It
pan
was,
out. Yeah,
but it didn't pan out. And they had fucking Robert Englund in it, Freddy Krueger, as the villain, one of the villains.
Look,
Yeah,
I
Al
like
Bundy.
Andrew Dice Clay, but I totally understand why he can turn a lot of people off. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. That was almost like, what's next? A Carrot Top movie? Oh, never mind.
Oops.
Chairman of the board, here we go.
And what was that Australian redhead dude that?
Oh,
appeared
Yahoo
in-
Serious?
Yahoo Serious. Like, what the fuck is this guy?
The Einstein, that young Einstein movie. Like, what the hell is? I know people love it. It's got this cult following now, but it's like, Einstein was not Australian. What the
I
hell?
have never watched that movie. I refuse to watch it.
I tried to watch it once as a kid. It was so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I
he's
get it. He was
serious.
supposed to be like the Australian, like, I don't know what
Carrot
you would
Top
call
is
him.
what he was. He
I
looked
don't
like
know.
Carrot Top.
He actually is a big deal over there, I guess, but yeah, was evidently.
The type of Western this is, I think this style really peaked with Deadwood. Like that was what this particular
Well, that's
Western
kind of what.
led
Yeah,
to.
you're right. This is opening the door for the more realistic, which is kind of what Clint did to begin with, even though spaghetti westerns are.
Well, that's where the fight between him and John Wayne got started. That
I mean,
John Wayne hated him.
I guess you would call them operatic versions of the West, or however you would put it, because it's not the old West, but it is closer than the old John Wayne style, right? The old Hollywood style. But that was just because the Italians didn't know. They just watched movies and they mimicked shit they saw, right?
It might be heresy, but yeah, my favorite's still probably The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
That's a great film.
Yeah.
It was, in my opinion, the best of the spaghetti westerns.
Well, yeah, it's a genuine epic. I guess also just helps that, Eroque Morricone music. Like, he can't be touched. Like, John Williams is like closest thing to him as far as composers go.
Yeah.
John Williams didn't do too many westerns. One though was the Cowboys with John Wayne. I think that was that in the 70s? I was gonna say that was his other 70s western. I think
that was 1972.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yep. And those were the three where he played older, grizzled. And I was talking about this the other day. I'm like, I'm not one who's like against remakes as most people. I just hate modern remakes in this modern era, like people were talking about. Because like a story like The Cowboys is prime real estate for a new remake, or even like a TV show based on it. Because they did do a TV show.
It would be a great series, in my opinion, to have him die at the end, and them have to.
You know who would be a great You know who would fill in for the John Wayne role? I think really well now. Kevin Costner.
Perfect. And by the way, I liked Horizon, and I'm kind of tired of people shitting on it. That's a really good fucking movie.
How many times have you seen it now?
I hate to say it, but I've seen it 4 times.
Wow.
Anima's watched it with me once.
It's one of those movies where the first time you see it, you're not sure if it's good or not. But now I'm like dying for the rest of it. I'm like, I want to see the rest of it.
Exactly how I feel. And it's supposed to be done in 3 parts. I
thought it was 4.
Movie, and I thought it was 3.
No, I think it's 4.
Is it 4? Okay.
It's 2 sections of 2, but yeah, he's already started filming part 3.
I really loved it so fucking much. That gunfight was about as realistic a gunfight as you get when he takes that guy down up on top of that hill above the town. I was just, you knew what was going to happen. You felt it like a barometer. You feel that pressure drop. And it's like, oh shit, something's about to happen. And he fucking smokes that guy. Fucking love that movie.
I'm waiting for Horizon to be finished before I even get around to it, because I've learned, especially because of Mr. Martin,
don't
wait for shit to get finished.
Don't do that.
I hear you, but this is
really good.
I don't know how to explain it. Yes, it does feel like you're having the first course of a meal, but it is such an amazing meal. Like, I don't understand how to explain it. I mean, first time I saw it, I was kind of like, okay, I see what he's going at here. I think this would have worked better as a streaming series. Then I saw it again. And then I found myself watching it again and again. And it's like, you just keep getting sucked in. It's like, I want more of this world. How many times
did you watch it?
About the same as you, about 4 times.
4? Yeah. And I still haven't gotten Anima to watch it yet. And I really wanted to watch it because I'm telling you, man, it's so much better than the way they're treating it. And I think that, I got to be honest, Taylor Sheridan has something with this negative blowback. I think he got petty. And that's
I think they both should have buried the hatchet and found a way to make this part of the same universe, because I mean, he's got half the Yellowstone fucking cast with him over there. That's the funny part. So it almost feels like a Yellowstone spin-off of sorts. It doesn't have the same melodrama. I mean, it does have some, but it's not the same type. But otherwise, it would totally work as one. I mean, I wish these two guys would have just gotten out of the way of their egos. Because the sad part is they never had a conversation. They never had a phone call. They never had sat down and had a drink. This was their management and their representatives arguing between each other. And I understand both sides of the argument. But the problem now you have is Taylor Sheridan didn't fucking deliver. And he could have. There was a way that it could have worked for both parties, and it was almost out of spite that Taylor did what he did to the final season of Yellowstone.
That's exactly how it comes across.
And as far as I'm concerned, that means he lost the fight, regardless of how big of a box office bomb Horizon came out to be. Yeah,
Costner, yeah, absolutely. I think Taylor Sheridan played a part in that. And the word coming out of Costner's camp is that he was trying to work with him.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing: we didn't, and a lot of people didn't think about was the issue was this scheduling, and now that and I think the answer was clear when it took how long for Taylor to get us the final season of Yellowstone, and it was a big bunch of nothing burger. Basically, you can watch the first 2 episodes, the first episode and the last episode, see everything you need to see. Everything in the middle is dumb.
Nonsense. Exactly.
It's just stupid. And not only that, it ends up like you're watching it, you're like, is this even the same show that we started with at this point? Because it feels like a completely different show now. This is getting into worse than Dallas territory.
They lost the character arcs.
And it was stupid because it's set up like, look, we knew you couldn't bring back Kevin. You're not going to work anything out. Fine. You know what? Taylor, you're a writer. Work with this. Me and other people came up with this. It's like all you had to do was, speaking of Dallas, who shot JR? It's that fucking simple. Well, there's an obvious answer, and we all know it. Jamie had something to do with it. But that's where you red herring the fucking audience along for an entire season and say, well, was it him or was it the natives or was it this people? Was it that people he pissed off? Because that's the thing is we know John has created a lot of fucking enemies over the last few years. And just like with JR, you kind of sit back and go, well, was it this person or was it that person? Could it be this person?
Tom, I got a good twist for that. It turns out all the red herrings aren't red herrings. They all did it together.
Yeah,
that's what you find out.
You could do that too. It would have been better.
Agatha Christie ending, man. That would be fucking great to find out,
right? I mean, but that's the thing. They could have took that and made a whole season out of that. The final season being who shot John Dutton, right?
And then they were promising to bring in a new cast member to be the new leader of the family. That'll lead into the spinoff series.
I think they did that on purpose because they're going to spin it off, and they didn't want Universal suing them like Warner Brothers is with South Park.
Yeah, it's just they wanted
because
to go
let's
Paramount.
Be real, the spinoff is going to be the
Paramount.
de facto the same show.
It'll be on Paramount because that's what Paramount wants. They want it on Paramount Plus.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, before Paramount Plus and CBS All Access were a thing, when Yellowstone first got started, they signed a deal with Universal so that Peacock got first rights to Yellowstone for streaming only in the U.S. So outside of the U.S., people are probably going, what are you talking about? Yellowstone's on Paramount Plus. Yes, that's completely true. They basically did a reversal of what they did with Star Trek Discovery. And they fucked themselves in the end, because if they'd have had Yellowstone to launch Paramount Plus with, this would be a completely different scenario than we're in right now in the streaming wars. But anyhow, that being said, they're just lucky they've got the Taylor Sheridan shows and South Park and shit.
Let me tell you something else Sheridan did that he said he wasn't going to do. He put himself in the fucking show as a character.
Well, that's the moment the show fell apart. Look, it was bad enough the first few episodes gave everything away, and it was like the obvious answer.
The cats were pissed about that he did that.
Not just the cast, but the audience, the critics even went after him. And that's where I said I think he lost the narrative at that point. Because you got to remember, Kevin Costner had this shit set in place for years, right? And this is what he said in one of his interviews. He's like, look, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is I had a lot of contracts. I had checks signed. I had people hired. I had crews hired. I had sets being built. I had these schedules that people were scheduled around. So basically, Taylor was asking me to move the earth and heaven for him, right? When I told him I've got this amount of time and then I'm going to go do this, because he even pointed out that I've been with the show for the last 2 years when I was originally only going to be there till season 3. See, and that's what I've said from the start. Is like, this feels like this was probably where this show was probably going to go anyway. And they kind of hinted at that a few times, that yes, this is kind of how the show is going to end, because they already had an idea that they weren't going to have John Dutton for a couple of seasons. And that's why the last couple seasons they're left off with cliffhangers where we thought John Dutton might be dead, where he got blowed up and all that, or whatever, not blowed up, but that was the daughter, but where he got shot and all that other kind of stuff and all the other things that happened to him over the years, right? Like, I think he got in an accident or something like that. I can't remember even now. It's been so many things that have happened to this fucking guy. Plus, he has the cancer on top of it all, right? So, like, they have more than enough stuff going down for this guy that at any given moment, we knew he was going to be killed or offed on the show, because he didn't even have, I think, a contract for the last 2 seasons to be there. He was just there because he loved the show. And I remember seeing an interview with him in the first few seasons where he's like, yeah, when it's my Yellowstone time, I come down here and I camp out on the set. So he loved being there. He loved the atmosphere. He loved just riding the horses.
Oh, yeah, they had a great relationship.
Yeah.
In the cast.
But something happened somewhere at some point, and I think it's egos got in the way, and I think Taylor knew this shit was coming, and I think he deliberately tried to make it a pain in the ass for Kevin, if not his just inability to schedule himself, because he's being overstretched. Let's be real, guys, because he only, like, when I say Paramount, they're lucky they got Taylor Sheridan. Well, they're using him up. Like that is going to be tapped out before long.
Putting him on Lioness was just that hurt his.
Well, they got him stretched farther than any other TV
show.
creator in history. Like even all the Botchkos and all the other people in the past, Stephen J. Cannells and all these guys. I don't think any of them had this many shows on at once where they were this involved with them.
That's because they get greedy. They get something good and they want to try to milk it. And they'll milk it till they ruin him. And this is ruining him. This last season of Yellowstone shows how spoiled he is as a person.
Yes. And that was what we were getting to, is that whole episode where it's revolved around him for no good fucking reason. And it goes nowhere. And all just so he could say, yeah, I'll help you sell your fucking cattle or whatever, your horses.
By the way, Tom, a series, I mean, it's not officially Western, but it might as well be, that has a good ending. Banshee, if you haven't seen it.
Oh, I like Banshee. It was a good show.
Not familiar with that one.
It's about the Amish mafia, and this guy gets out of prison, goes to a town. He's a convict. I can't remember what his motivation to go to that town was, but he goes there and he lies his way into.
That's part of the mystery of the show.
He kills the cop, or he finds the cop that's dead.
No, the new sheriff gets killed before he's about to go into town, and he takes his identity, so he becomes the new sheriff in town
and hides the body. And so he's the new sheriff in town, and he's a fucking convict. And it's great, dude. It's a great show. It's done on Skinamax, so there's guaranteed, just like the Hulk, 2 Hulk outs per episode. There's 2 fuck scenes per episode on Banshee, because that's Skinamax for you. But it's a really good fucking show. Never heard of it?
Lioness, that's problematic. Is that
Lioness is garbage.
They put his name on there as executive producer, and he didn't really have a hand in it. You can tell, because it's garbage.
Tell that
he shouldn't have his name on there.
Like, he directed that first episode, and it's like, I have trouble believing that he directed it, because he had no serious military advisors in this film, and they're doing shit nobody in the military would do. They're special forces. It's like, we got a guy up in the front line. He's moving across the trench. What do we do? You smoke him?
It was unbearable to
wonder what he's doing. Smoke him. Fucking dumb.
Well, and back to Unforgiven. I mean, we kind of trailed off here, and I got to run.
Well, you and I do that. It's ADD.
Yeah, I know it happens. Yep. But I guess now, isn't this based on like some old dime novel or something like that? I can't remember. Because like I remember, like the story is that Eastwood's reader read the script, said it wasn't very good, so it just kind of sat around for years and didn't do anything with it. And then he happened to read it one day, because it was laying there or whatever, or he's going through older scripts, and it was just one of those scripts that happened to pop out to him as an obvious one for him.
Well, I know that it like shares parallels to Homer's Iliad, and that's the one I remember when we were like talking about it in college in screenwriting, that it had associations to that. And that money is basically Achilles. And I don't know if you can see that, but this was the themes that we talked about, or literary illusions that we talked about in college. It's the only thing I know.
Yeah, I could see it.
No, I guess it was an original screenplay. I'm looking here now. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, for those that don't know, the Iliad, basically, Achilles is a bastard, but like considered a great hero because he's good at killing people. Hector's the honorable one, who unfortunately loses to him.
According to this is where I think I was thinking that, because the concept actually is dated back to 1976 when it was developed under the title "The Cut Whore Killings and the Will Money Killings." See, I remember like the William Money Killings or something like that. I thought that was what it was, like the book was called or whatever. But I guess Francis Ford Coppola was originally going to make this back in the day. So,
which I'm curious what that would have been back in his heyday.
Probably would have had. I don't know who it would have starred, but yeah.
Money just starts blabbering about how we need to have a conversation about the future.
Well, at one point, Tom, just to let you know, I've known David Webb Peoples, the screenwriter of the film. I've known him for years because of Blade Runner. And I had actually contacted him about discussing this film at some point. And his wife answered the phone. And she was a complete cunt to me, acting like she didn't know who the hell I was. And then when I said, well, we're wondering if he would like to get into a discussion about this and Blade Runner. And she said, no. And then hung up on me. And I went, Jesus fucking Christ, somebody's on their fucking rag. And if he's offended by that, I'm sorry. But your wife was kind of a bitch to me. So
I'm sure he's listening, Gary. I'm sure he watches us religiously.
You never know what it's going to get back because I'm the founder of the Blade Runner fan club. Somebody may mention it. And it'll go down the line. Gary called you a cocksucker. That is not what I said. The Old West thing, Tom. Remember that?
You cut his face off?
You cut his face off?
I want to take his face.
Well, no, I was kind of
no, it's about
making fun of the movie, but yeah, like,
yeah, the movie. That's what I was going back to.
They even cut off her lady bits.
Cut off her lady bits, and it's like, holy shit, really? Yeah. No, it's
like,
not.
Jesus Christ! By the end of this thing, she's nothing left of her but a trunk.
I know, like just like a body.
Yeah.
John Ford's one of my favorite directors too, Gambit. God, he really is. But I like William Wyler. His movie, the Big Country, is, I think, the third greatest Western ever made. And it is a film that just absolutely kills me every time I see it. I never get tired of watching that movie. And it's like 2.5 hours. It's a cinescope, so it's extra wide screen. And William Wyler shot a Western in a way that you just never imagined a Western. And I think that that's what Kevin Costner was emulating when he did Dances with Wolves. And that movie is, it's kind of a mixture of Western and military film. It's a little of both. And the cinematography in it is just incredible. And it reminds me of William Wyler's cinematography from The Big Country. Oh, hey, Zax. How you doing, buddy? We got a video for you.
Hey, Zax.
Are you here, Martin?
Yes, but I thought you were going to do it.
No, we got a video. I was cueing you.
Okay, here we go.
Shut the fuck up, Kyle!
There you go.
With the Western, I do think there's avenues you could visit that haven't really been covered too well. Like, for instance, the Chinese immigrant story with them building the railroad, doing something from like their perspective and what was going on in their community at the time.
The problem is the modern era of doing something like that. Like 10, 15, 20 years ago, absolutely. And I think it would have been handled fine. Like now, though,
yeah. Now, white man bad.
Honesty was out the door. That's why I couldn't watch the TV series based on Bruce Lee's Kung Fu idea. Because I watched the show and it's like the minute they started showing the white guys always acting a certain way, and I went, I'm out. I'm not going to sit there and have people villainize characters that probably didn't act anywhere near like that. You'd have one or two occasionally. Not every single fucking one of them is ridiculous.
Well, and that's what I hate about this racism crap. It's like, did certain people face adversity and probably bouts of certain kind of racism? Absolutely. I'm sure they did. But at the same time, guess what? Bruce Lee wouldn't be Bruce Lee if it wasn't for, the fact that America allowed that to happen. Right? And most people don't even realize that Bruce Lee was American to begin with.
Born in California.
Yep. San Francisco. It's the same thing with like a lot of these other people. It's like Michael Jackson wouldn't have been allowed to be Michael Jackson. Bill Cosby was the #1 fucking TV star throughout the 80s. People forget that. Most highest paid #1 show. Right? I mean, Will Smith was probably the highest paid actor throughout the 90s, and he is now. Last year he was.
Oh man, could you imagine them doing a Western about the founding of Chinatown? Oh.
I almost thought you were going to say, can you imagine them doing a Western with Will Smith? I was going to be like, oh, dude, you have not heard about Wild Wild West.
That
one
wasn't
of the
a
things
Western.
I really
that
wish
was
they
Wiki
had
wow,
done.
wiki wow.
John Carpenter's original Big Trouble in Little China was supposed to be that.
Well, his two Westerns are Big Trouble and Vampires.
Yeah.
Oh, Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, that one too. Yes, you're right. So that's 3. So he has his 3. Yeah.
And Ghosts of Mars is nothing more than a sci-fi remake.
I don't even consider that one of his films.
It's a terrible film.
It's terrible film.
I don't even consider Ghosts of Mars to be a film.
He
But
suggests
Vampires is his most Western film, and he's even said that that's his Western. Like if you watch like his interviews.
Shoot 'em up. Yeah, it's a shoot 'em up film. It's good. I liked it. What's funny is I didn't like it when I saw it in the theater, and I didn't want to watch it again.
Vampires?
Then, yeah, because of Don Ecker, I went back and I got the 4K copy of it.
Oh, Vampires is amazing, man. I love Vampires.
It's the director's cut. It's got more to it. And I watched it and I went, God damn it, if I didn't fucking love this movie. And now I'm a fan of vampires.
Really?
So,
How much is added the director's cut? Because my whole thing is I was with the movie till the crew gets killed off. And then it's like the entire tone 180s to a completely different movie.
That was my problem. That was my problem the first time I saw it, was that transition from Act 2 to Act 3 was like such a fucking leap, and it threw me. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is better. And I liked it, and it felt like a smoother transition. And that character at the end gets his happy ending too, at a massage parlor. Bruce Lee didn't get to play Kung Fu because Hollywood is afraid that a yellow man couldn't do it. No, that's true. That's a fact.
Didn't he also have a contract for something else too at the time? I can't remember now.
I don't know about that, but I do know that the guy that he talked to
screwed him over too. The producer
was
did, yeah.
the producer from Green Hornet, and they were friends. And he screwed him and developed that idea on his own, and he felt very slighted by what he did, and I don't blame him.
But wasn't that the same guy who ended up getting him the role in Enter the Dragon, though, too, if I remember right? I could be mixing something up, too.
I don't know about that. Let me look that up.
Because I think they eventually did make up. Because at least I remember, I might be convoluting stuff from Dragon that they... Because that's the problem with Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
Oh, it's so full of shit. Yeah,
it is so full of shit. That, like, yeah. And well, here's the thing is I finally, after all these years of hating on that movie a little bit, when the 4K, speaking of, came out here, I recently rewatched it again, and it finally dawned on me. I'm like, oh my God, it took me all these years to figure out this is a Bruce Lee movie telling the Bruce Lee story. It's not really supposed to be a biopic.
A Bruce Lee movie. Exactly.
It's like, oh my God, I am so stupid. I didn't see this so many years ago, right? Like, so on that level, I can enjoy it quite entertainingly because that's exactly what it is. It's a Bruce Lee movie. It's not the Bruce Lee story per se. It's if Bruce Lee ended up making a Bruce Lee story back in the 1970s, this is probably what it would have been.
Then they screwed with selling it as that because people hate it because they thought it was a biopic.
That was the problem. It was how it was marketed. Because if you watch the movie, you can see clearly, like, obviously he didn't get into all these fights in real life. And if you notice, each and every segment is like a setup from one of his movies, right? Like something happens, he has to come in and step in to use his, skills to make it right. Like every scene is one of those situations. And 90% of it is bullshit or glamorized, and we know that. But knowing that going into it now, like I was like, oh my God, duh. I'm finally seeing this for the first time through the eyes of the director going, oh, how did we not realize this all this time? And you're probably right. It was the marketing department that fucked that up.
Yeah, the two Anglo producers on the film never worked on any of that. So I don't think so.
I mean, Showgirls was another example of that. A lot of the people working on it thought they were making a comedy. And then it comes out as like, oh, this is like some raunchy movie, and it was. But
Showgirls, yeah, well, that was because they were also getting it mixed up with striptease a lot of times, which was meant to be a direct comedy, tongue-in-cheek comedy. Showgirls was not. Showgirls was meant to be like a. Honestly, I really don't know what the fuck Showgirls is meant to be. I don't even know if the director knows at this point.
It's supposed to be European.
I mean, Verhoeven is a great director, and I watched that movie, and I still try to figure it out.
So it's saying that Ed Spielman and Howard Frindelman and Fred Weintraub said that they developed this idea on their own, and there's no concrete evidence to support the claim that it was stolen from Bruce Lee. That
Because there's something with him and maybe it was Weintraub, like one of those
It
guys.
is
He ended up,
Weintraub.
yeah, and I think they ended up working together on something else, or were going to before he died, and I can't remember what it was. Because I think they did make up eventually, but
It's either Howard or it's Fred, because both those names are very familiar to me. So I'm going to look them up. But yeah, Weintraub he did work with. Let me see here.
yeah, because
he worked with him. He worked with him a lot,
Yeah.
all the way till his death.
That's
now,
the one I'm thinking of then. Yeah.
Let me look at Howard. Because
Well,
Howard,
the other guys are the ones who probably screwed him over real bad. So like, yeah.
Because one of them was involved with the Green Hornet. So let me see if it's this one.
Yeah.
Howard and but yeah, keep talking, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, I do have to run here soon, actually. But
just checking. Gene Hackman's in this movie, right? Because you got a little off topic with that.
We did very much, very much.
What'd you say?
Well,
Kanatsky, I'm sorry, I was writing. I'm serious. I was writing, and you.
We got off
said
topic
something.
and on.
Oh, that's ADD theater. Yeah, it's like you and I start getting into these things. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna run here anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about Gene Hackman, since that was the kind of point of doing this. You know, Lil Bill, at least his career.
My question is, who's Big Bill?
Yeah, because in my family, I am still called Little Gary, even though I'm bigger than taller than all my family and my dad. And I'm going to die with that fucking nickname from my family. I fucking hate it. But my dad was Big Gary. It was Big Gary, Little Gary, because I'm junior. Not legally, though, because I have a different middle name from my dad. Learned why Unforgiven is such a beloved movie? Fuck you. We're not telling you anything about this. We're going to talk about other shit.
Wait,
Well,
Gene
it was also one of
Hackman's
the
in
last.
this?
Yeah, it was also one of the last movies to win Best Picture that deserved it.
Look, the
where else
Oscars
can we
died
go?
in the 90s, dude.
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
did.
I mean, this is when Hollywood still actually made real movies, and they didn't give a shit about all the other crap. And it was like, oh, Clint Eastwood made a Western. Sweet. Right? Like, and not only that, it turns out to be his best Western he probably ever made. So, I mean, hey, good way to go out. And he even dedicated it to, like, I think Leone and who else? I can't remember now.
Siegel.
Siegel, that's right. Thank you.
And Siegel, by the way, was a typical Hollywood liberal, but ended up working really well with John Wayne when they did the Cowboys.
Well, and the same thing with Dirty Harry on that part. Like,
Both actors, Clint Eastwood and John Wayne, were conservative, politically conservative.
Well, and Dirty Harry was considered the conservative wet dream.
Is this film really so great if it has less nominations than Amelia Perez?
I don't.
Don't even.
Can we get rid of him, please? Is there a reason why he's no?
What, Shanatsky?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's good.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. He's still But I appreciate you coming on, Tom. It's always fun when you come on.
I should have left like a half hour ago. I'm sorry about that, but
don't worry. We love having you on, buddy. Hanging out with you is always fun for me.
I got a lot of shit I got to take care of around the house here, though. So
we need to do an updated piece of artwork for you.
Something new would be nice. We'll have to look into that.
Yep, get me a really good photo.
All right.
And the smart ass remark was I don't know if I can do that.
Hopefully you guys can actually talk some more about the movie and not other things. So there you go.
Well, this is actually a great moment to get back into it, because this is where the kid and he have to make their own plan.
Well, and the other problem with this is Clint Eastwood movies usually go pretty smoothly. Like, if you ask anybody who's ever worked with him, he's like one of the most laid back directors ever. Like he doesn't even say action or cut, from my understanding.
He goes, go. And the reason why
he says that, or when you're ready. When you're ready is his other one, and then when it's cut, it's I think we got it, or that's
well, you
good
know
enough,
why,
or
right? You know why
I
he
think
does
that's
that?
enough, yeah. Because he's an actor himself, for one.
He came up on westerns, and he pointed out one day that doing westerns, every time the director would yell action, it would startle the horses. And so he chose.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because he says it real quiet too. I guess too. He's like, when you're ready.
He doesn't. If they're doing a western, it started there, and then he just kept doing it every film. He does it every film. Doesn't matter.
But I guess like everybody says, like it's one of the most laid back atmospheres to work in, and as far as an actor,
that's why so many actors love.
Well,
working
right, like
with
Gene
him.
Hackman always worked with him, and speaking of Gene, like they clearly had a great relationship. They worked together no less than 2-3 times at least, if not more.
Right.
So I mean, in Absolute Power, this I think they've done another one. What's the other one they did? I swear there's at least one more.
I can check it real quick.
I think during the 90s, I swear they were in one other one together, but I could be wrong.
They were the president assassination one.
Well, that's in the
Absolute
Line of Fire.
Power.
Or Absolute Power I already brought up, but is he in the Line of Fire? I don't know if he's in that one.
I don't remember him in that one.
Yeah, because I just watched Absolute Power not too long ago. That's the one where Gene
Unforgiven,
plays the president.
Absolute Power, and that I think that's it. The two that they did.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they did another one, but that's my bad.
Yeah, in the Line of Fire is what it's like. John Malkovich is the bad guy in
okay.
that. Yeah, that's what you're thinking of.
John Malkovich, the way he talks. Yeah, I can't find anything else listed for the two of them.
Oh, they only did the two, but
and the Eastwood estate, the family all knew Gene, and they just put out a statement.
Aww.
Because he was a friend. They said he was a friend of the family.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I know they were pretty good friends. So yeah.
Here's an odd one. He was a Hollywood liberal. He really was. But he was very staunch independent thinker. And in the 80s, he was a supporter of Ronald Reagan. That always blew my mind. He stepped up and supported him against Hollywood.
There was a lot of people who did. I mean, Reagan was one of those guys that was kind of the original crossing over the...
Well, he was a Democrat.
Well, he started,
he started out as a Democrat, and then he evolved and became a Republican. I didn't agree with all of his politics, but I liked the guy. I thought he was a straight shooter, and they were saying things about him, and it tends to be the thing, oh, if they're old, they got to make them sound feeble. Well, we actually got a feeble president, and then they didn't want to say anything. So I'm like, don't do that. Don't play that game with me. It's fucking rude. And she's like you said, she is a type. He's got a type for women that he wants in his movies. And Francis, who you brought up, was somebody that's worked with him before, and I do believe they had a relationship.
Yeah.
Clint has a number, and it's the number of times he can stick his dick into them.
God damn.
So, I'm going to repeat that story with Jay Moore. So anyway, Tom, get out of here, buddy. I love you, man.
Go.
Get out of here.
Right.
Go
take care, guys.
Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it.
Remember, deserves got nothing to do with it.
Deserves got nothing to do with it. We all got it coming. So, Jay Moore was talking about working with like Chris Walken, talking about the experience of working with Clint Eastwood. And when he was working with Clint wanted to go party with him, go out drinking. And Jay Moore's like, I can't drink. And he goes, then you don't get to go out. And so he came back the next day and finally, had a little sit down talk with him. He goes, why don't you drink? And he says, I'm an alcoholic in recovery. He says, I've got a problem too. It's a serious addiction. He's like, what's that? And he goes, pussy. And Jay Moore's like, this is the weirdest conversation I've ever had in my life.
that gives new context to we all have it coming.
He goes,
oh my God.
I can't stop. Can't stop. Now, this is where they finally shoot one of the guys, and this is the kid who didn't deserve it. The guy they kill in the outhouse deserved it. This kid tried to stop it all, and it always, makes me feel bad. And that's why this movie is a gray area with the good guy, bad guy thing. In the end, you're rooting for Clint Eastwood because they killed his best friend, who he couldn't pull the trigger. He had changed that much. And Clint, shit's about to go down because he's been refusing to drink the whole fucking movie. And then right before he's going to go avenge Ned, he starts downing some whiskey, grabs it from the kid. She is weird, man. She's a weird looking woman, but she was cute when she was younger. And I think that's what he fell for because I think she was like 15, 20 years younger than him when they started banging.
That's perfect characterization at that point, because that's all of his vices catching up with him all at once.
Yeah. I've never heard his, but Jeff Daniels is an annoying dude. And he's kind of rude. He talks out of turn about people. He was on David Letterman one night and was talking about the actress from Medicine Woman Western series.
Dr. Quinn?
Dr. Quinn, that actress, the English actress. And he was talking about having to kiss her in a movie. And I think it was the live action Dalmatian movie. I can't remember. But he was talking about it. And he says, man, did she suffer from halitosis?
Dude, just don't.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I started disliking him after he did that. Yeah. Well, he thought that was a great line in that network TV series. America isn't great. It's like, you know what makes America great? Why everybody wants to come here has nothing to do with what you keep trying to say. It's not about education. It's about opportunity. That's why people like coming here. Opportunity to change your life, to become something more. People love that. That's what's made this country great from the beginning. It gives you that chance. But anyway, it was not classy, Reed. I thought that was really fucking rude when he did that. And I haven't liked him ever since. Ever since that, it just stuck in my head that he did that on David Letterman. My middle brother met Jane Seymour when he was stationed in Puerto Rico. Please don't end this with a halitosis joke, Che.
No, but I liked what Hugh Laurie said about, when his whole thing is like he was just amazed at the way American productions work, because literally he'd be on House MD and during the night they'd be redoing sets and everything else. So it was just like this constant machine turning around. And what he said about the United States is the essence: we're too big to know ourselves because we're such a huge fucking country.
We're a melting pot. We always have been.
Yeah.
And we have a specific direction we need to go, which is, in order to help the poor, we have to be able to make money. And that's how you do it. And that's why a thriving economy is always good for socialized programs for the poor. And you should try to help the poor who are capable stop being poor. And I've always, because I've been poor most of my life. I chose to be an artist, and I understood with that comes the word struggling. And Graham Nolan and I talked about it one time that, there's only 11% of professional career artists and writers out there that really make a good living because something sold theirs. That's when they start getting residuals. Residuals is how you make money. And by the way, Gene Hackman, if you didn't know this, according to what I just read this week, and because of Randy Quaid's point, I went and looked it up, and it's true that Gene Hackman is the highest paid actor on residuals living. Well, was living up till his death.
Nice.
He had done that much work that he made a fortune off of residuals.
I'm glad he didn't.
That should have won it that didn't is the John Wayne film, The Searchers. Should have been Best Picture.
I am Poe. Okay, yeah. Des Poen.
What? Oh my God. Are you serious? Yeah, we heard.
Hey, Gary, I just heard Gene Hackman passed away.
Yeah, fucking Zax broke the news.
God damn it,
Now, we were
Zax.
talking about it earlier because I brought up the fact that it takes approximately anywhere from 3 days to a week for the mummification process to start if you're in a dry, warm environment. And their hands and feet were in the first process of the mummification. And so it looks like they were probably there anywhere from a week to 3 weeks. I think it's going to be the opposite way, because at first I thought it was, when Anima and I were talking about it, we both came up with the theory that maybe she was self-deleting because she found him. But the fact is, I think she something happened to her in that bathroom. And Gene, I think, might have been, because why else was he in the mudroom in his slippers? That's an entrance-exit room.
Well, I had
We're
news
going
in
in or out
my
of the house.
newsfeed today that his pacemaker had stopped a couple days before they found him.
Wow.
How that did not notify anyone, I don't know.
That should have notified somebody
Yeah.
earlier. I did not know he had a pacemaker. Wow. Okay. So here we go again. This is why the kid is so annoying, because they don't know what's happening to Ned right now. That Ned's being whipped, which goes beyond the pale with this character. It's this scene where I feel Bill stops being a good guy, because everything he was doing really kind of fell into controlling a town as a law enforcement officer.
We have a
Knocking the
breach.
shit out of someone.
Oh,
And I believe we have something for
I
that.
have something for him. Hold on. I have something just for him.
Good job, Shay. I was beginning to get nervous we wouldn't get a breach.
Here you go.
Any man don't want to get killed. Better clear on out the back.
Oh, we have several. And all are from Capitino. For example,
Well, that's
we have
it.
this.
When you
I
have a
didn't
house,
see that one.
when you have a house, if you have a mud room, it's either going to be the front door or the back door. Ours, because I grew up on farm area, and we always, our mud rooms were always in the back of the house. That's where you.
I was
leave the
not always
boots.
with the main door.
It was cheap ass wood for the floor paneling, always, and it's an area where you could hang your coats.
Yeah, in Austria, you need a place like that because you put your shoes there. This is the only part of the house that you enter with your shoes on. They stay there, as do the jackets.
All right, so here goes another one for you.
How'd you get in the house?
Just tell me an idea for a movie. It's not bad so far. Sit down and have a drink. Tell Karen, see what she thinks.
Maybe you didn't hear me.
Well, I came in the back door.
And the answer to that, don't we all?
No, just you, Gary.
Oh.
This is his one murder. Because he bragged about killing 5 guys, and then this is where he finally kills a guy. And I'm still confused by this scene. And let me tell you why, Martin. Because you see 3 shots hit him in the body. But when we cut to behind his shoulder, his head is turned, and there's a hole in his head.
Yes. I never saw that headshot.
There is none. He shoots him 2 to the side and 1 dead center mass. And I'm like, where did that headshot come from?
Lee Harvey Oswald, of course.
Yeah. It came from the grassy knoll. I know.
Back.
I love also that he grabbed the wrong door. I love that he opens the door to the wrong door first. It's a 2-man outhouse. He grabs the door to the wrong one. And this is true. And I'm going to tell you, people are running, their hearts racing. Hitting somebody from a standing position or running position is next to impossible. So, I mean, look at their guns aimed in different directions.
Well, unlike someone I won't name here, they know not to point at the camera. They are avoiding pointing at the camera.
Yeah, you don't want to aim at the cinematographer or the director.
But you can aim at Alec Baldwin. That's not legal.
I hate you, Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, you're just to me, Alec Baldwin. Here's the moment.
Yes, the headshot was the exit wound.
Yeah, it was a magic bullet. It went in his chest and came out his head. There we go. And this is for this scene.
It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have.
It's basically the entire core of the movie.
Yep.
And
then he also tells the kid at the end of that, we all got it coming.
It's tragic how that kid breaks after having shot someone, because he's bragging at first and then it's just sinking in. He ended somebody's life. And
He's
he
not
can't live with that.
bragging. He's not bragging. He's
No. He's kind of on an adrenaline rush.
He's showing off a bit. He's trying to throw up his feathers to show how tough he is. He's trying to bolster himself. It's a kind of form of bragging, and I agree with you. It is kind of bragging, but he's trying to let them know he ain't a pussy, and I can do my job. But in the end, you find out he really does have shit eyes, and
he can't see shit.
Because you hear him constantly asking, "Did you get him? Did you hit him? Where's he at?" Like, I'd be annoyed with that kid. I'd probably pistol whip him.
I was annoyed at that scene.
I've knocked the shit out of him. People think I'm kidding when I say I used to knock the shit out of people. I hit that kid with my helmet once in the army because he was a fucking moron. And I did it right in front of the senior cadre. They didn't say a fucking thing. He had it coming. I fucking took my helmet off and I just hit him in his helmet and knocked him sideways and he fell to the ground. Like, you fucking idiot. People remember not to do that again when you apply physical punishment. Just telling you, they're less apt to fuck up if they know there's a price to pay. And look at her. She really almost loses it here when she tells them that Ned is dead. Ned's dead, baby. Ned's dead. What movie was that? Was I making fun
Zed,
of?
that is Pulp Fiction.
Zed, that's right. Zed's dead. You got it. Pulp Fiction. That's right there. That's the breaking point when she says they put a sign on him. And you hear a musical cue, a slight musical cue there, and a change in his character. And that's when old Will Money comes back. And he begins chugging because he knows what he needs to do, and he needs to fucking put the alcohol in him to do it.
This is the tragic moment of the entire thing, because he has that kid, he has that understanding about exactly what he's doing, and he still goes back on it after all this shit.
Oh my God.
See,
well, in one of my scripts a long time ago, I wrote a line where a guy threatens the other guy because it's based on what I said to the guy who touched me when I was a kid. I told him I used to, and I put it in the script, that I said I used to sit across the canal from you with my Marlin 30-30 with my 7-power scope, and I'd watch you walk to your house, and I'd watch you go into the bathroom, and I knew where your toilet was. And I anticipated one day shooting you while you're on the toilet shitting. Because it's one of the most humiliating ways to shoot somebody. To be killed while taking a shit. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to be found with a turd hanging out of my ass, unwiped. And I said that to a man myself. I meant it though.
And see, what this script understands that a lot of subverters don't. That doing this, it's still falling through with it being a tragedy. It's still falling through that everything that happens with here this is all wrong. There's this actual sense of morality in this entire movie. It's not doing, oh, from William Money's perspective. It's like, no, he's basically condemning himself with the end of this
Yeah,
movie.
he's going in there. He is. And that's sort of the meaning of him riding off into the darkness. Because he even says it to Bill. When Bill says, I'll see you in hell. He goes, yep. Hey, Big Al, was talking about you earlier, man. How you doing? Good to see you, man. Absolutely. It breaks my heart, man. One thing is still, and I mentioned it earlier, but we've got more people joining us now, and I'm going to say it again. Gene Hackman's last movie shouldn't have been his last movie. Mooseport, what a terrible movie. He deserved to go out on a better film than that. And The Royal Tenenbaums should have been his last film, in my opinion. Because he's good in that movie. And the movie's enjoyable. And partly because of him. That Indian actor, I forget his name. I've never seen him in anything else. So fucking good in that one. Oh, wait, no. He was also in the Wes Anderson's other movie about the three brothers on a train. Darjeeling Express. Was that it?
Journey, I think Unlimited or something like that.
It's Express or Unlimited, something like that. I think that one too. I fucking love that the characters, those two characters. And when he stabs him at the end, he stabs Gene Hackman's character, and Hackman forgives him because, yeah, I had it coming. And then the Indian guy takes him to the hospital, save him. But he stabbed him because he deserved it.
And see the notion of tragedy and the whole idea with good and evil. And this is the thing that a lot of writers forget with it. The real tragedy of tragedy in the first place is that a person knows what's right or wrong, and they still choose to do the wrong thing.
Yeah. And sometimes they choose to do the wrong thing for the right reason.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what happens here. Like Gene Hackman chooses to do the right thing, but he goes about it the wrong way. And the villain in this, which is Will Money, chooses to do the right thing the wrong way, or the wrong thing the right way. And Runaway Jury is another good film with Gene Hackman. It's a film that didn't get the attention it deserved. I think because John Cusack's in it, and he's a terrible actor.
Well, also the whole thing about was it the actual trial was because gun manufacturers responsible for a guy using their gun to kill people.
Yeah.
What you're saying to me, Das Wolf, and why that doesn't make sense is because I hate Gene Hackman's performance because Wes Anderson made the movie. And I don't understand that. There's a lot of movies out there that are better than the person who made it because of the cast he chose. And that's one of them. Royal Tenenbaums is one of the few Wes Anderson films I like. I like his first film, Bottle Rocket. I liked Rushmore, again, because of the cast. And I liked the Tenenbaums. The rest of his films are just crappy movies. I just don't like them.
I like Grand Budapest Hotel.
I did not.
Yeah.
Great cast, though.
It's not for everybody.
It was too fucking weird. When you start getting into the fucking dollhouse miniatures all the time, doing that shit, he's fucking weird with that. And I don't like it. He did it with that Asteroid in the Desert movie, too, in Arizona. And I'm like, everything looks like fucking fake, and I can't stand it. It's like, he's just fucking weird. So I'll give you that, John. You're right in that department. I think Wes Anderson is way overrated. But he has hit the mark with 3 films, in my professional and personal opinion, as a writer, creator, blah, blah, blah. So,
I love this gunfight because everything is so clumsy in it.
Yeah.
Everyone's fucking up constantly. Like, what would really happen?
And he's sitting there trying to make sense of it. You went for the best shot first. Like, no, it's just always been lucky enough. But really what he's doing, you'll notice, he's react shooting. The minute somebody does something, he turns, he hears, he sees, and he fires right where he saw it coming from. And he has that kind of reaction to where things need to be. And it's sort of like, when you find guys in like FPS PvP gameplay, like what I do, that's what I do in gameplay. I'm using the same thing that he uses in this film. It's just you're reacting to where you saw flash, you fire, and it works for him. He doesn't get shot. He's sort of like Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp, all those little gunfights and shit that he had, he just never got hit, not once. Everybody around him got hit, not him. With the scene, that famous scene with Brush. No, not what's his name? Where he goes out in the river and shoots him with a shotgun. They really over dramatized that. He actually shot him at a distance with that shotgun. But the fact is, during the shootout, a round went through his duster, hit his pants, and went through his duster and missed him completely.
Don't know.
Oh my God, that's one of the best scenes in the movie. I was gonna make espresso, but he says espresso because he's from he lived in New York, got that fucking way of saying it. Yeah, shoot right, not fast. And that's sort of the Will Money method too. It's not about speed, it's about quality. Shooting. Don't rush your shots.
And they're so thrown off by the fact
they're terrified. They're
because
terrified.
They think he's killed Bill, Yeah.
Yeah. They're also terrified of him already when he walks into the room the way he did, and they know who he is. And again, I want to point out that they did make a Japanese version, which Anna and I are going to find a way of watching it with. Because the version we found didn't have subtitles. So it just...
They had it, but they didn't work.
Yeah, but that happens sometimes with that one in particular. So I'm going to find a better copy, and I may even own that film. I may have bought that on either Amazon or on Google Play. I'll find out.
Question, Gary. You've seen a lot more movies than me. Is there any other movie that bookends like this one does?
Oh, you mean the way it opens with the scroll and ends with the scroll?
Yeah, because usually it's one, and there's a scroll at the beginning, or maybe a scroll at the end, or some text. Something. I can't think of something that's basically does the exact same type of scroll at the beginning and the end.
Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I don't recall it ever happening at both the beginning and end. But I like that. It gives it a storybook kind of feel to it. It really does feel like you're hearing a nightmarish bedtime story, but a bedtime story.
A Cormac McCarthy bedtime story.
Yeah, Cormac McCarthy. There you go. Good call out. I like that one. I don't know if anybody in the audience knows who that is. Wikipedia says that the film Unforgiven is it is. We talked about that earlier. Tom and I did. That it's revisionist Western. And this is the problem that John Wayne had with Clint Eastwood. The love between them was one way. And I don't know why. It makes me feel bad because he didn't like what Clint Eastwood did. He did revisionist Westerns. And he believed that a good guy should always be a good guy, period. He should not be a color of gray character. The closest he ever got with John Wayne is The Searchers and True Grit. You don't even get that with his last film, The Shootist. He's clearly a good guy. He's got a simple, policy. Don't touch me and I won't touch you, And he lives by that.
I mean, the lead character in Gunsmoke's named Paladin, for Christ's sakes. So,
no. Paladin is from
Have Gun Will Travel.
I Have Gun Will Travel.
Yeah. Oh, that. Sorry,
Matt Dillon is the marshal in Gunsmoke.
Okay, yeah.
I know what you meant, though. I know what you meant.
Yeah.
But I was.
Yeah, no, it's good enough.
I don't want the audience confused because they'll go, "Wait, what?" No, I'll go, "No. This is what he meant."
No, I just feel like I'm slowly developing Alzheimer's. That's all.
Here's some trivia for you. Did you know that the first episode on CBS of Gunsmoke was started with John Wayne on screen coming in to introduce the show and Matt Dillon, because at that point he was still friends with James Arness, and then James Arness didn't show up to a meeting for the Alamo, and that ended their friendship. John Wayne, another thing I've had a problem with him about is that if you like piss him off, he cuts you off forever.
Yeah, he seemed like he was kind of a fucking prima donna back in his day.
I would just say prick.
Yeah.
People loved working with him, but if you got on the wrong side of him, like had an argument, because like a lot of people don't know that James Caan almost took a swing at him. They did shove because he said John Wayne cheated when they were playing chess, and it pissed him off. Caan's just this fucking cocky kid, and John Wayne would have fucking killed him. Oh, I mean, Caan would have knocked the shit out of him, but even with one lung, I think Wayne could have taken him. But Gunsmoke Bonanza, to name them all were Western TV shows. Yeah. You had Have Gun Will Travel. You had that one with Wanted Dead or Alive with Steve McQueen, and he wanted off that show so badly. He was antsy being on TV. He wanted to be in film, and he ended up faking an accident with his car to get a break from the show so he could go work on The Great Escape. Go look it up. It's a true story.
No question. Is Gunsmoke still the longest running series of all time, or is The Simpsons like beating it? I'm trying to remember.
And by the way, I will tell you what I suspect the move was. And you have to call the move is allowed before you play the game, where you can switch a rook and a king. And I don't like that move. And I do consider it a cheat. But it's some people say it's allowed. I have never played that fucking move, and I wonder if that's what he did, and it pissed off Colin.
Who knows?
But Clint Eastwood loved John Wayne. He did. Loved him, admired him. But the relationship went one direction because John did not share the love back. I always felt bad about that because, like, imagine what we could have had if those two ever worked together. But he didn't like the kind of filmmaking that Clint did. Dirty Harry is such a great character. And he's a complex character. You know, he's like ready to take down and kill bad guys or beat the shit out of them, but then will go risk his own life to save somebody. That's why I hope they never remake it. I hope they never do. I think that's a film that should never be remade. It's a perfect masterpiece. Leave it the fuck alone. But you get these fucking guys that think too much of their fucking skills, that they think they're going to go make it better than the person who made it first.
Well, we're in an era where I think where we came from, like everything's ending from the old era we were in. Because literally all the people in charge have been baby boomers born around like the same like 4 or 5 years for the last like 20, 30 years. That's ending. So
yeah.
I don't know where we're going to end up in the world, but yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted, this is a really good comment. Good bit of trivia right here, that the rounds you see on McQueen on his belt don't fit the weapon he uses. They just look cool. True.
Yeah.
And the rifle he used in that was used, the sawed-off rifle ended up being used in other films. The same one. The comments on another chat came on this one. Oh, hi, Tom Baker. How the fuck are you? Would have been great having Clint and John Wayne. Exactly, that's what I was saying. But John Wayne, you know, I'm not going to say he's a prima donna. Maybe it is, but it's more like just he's a kind of so conservative. He was a prick about it. Steve McQueen is if you know the story behind his role in that film, and how finally they made up before McQueen's death. him and Yul Brynner. But man, Yul Brynner fucking hated his guts because he was always upstaging him in the scenes, and it pissed him off. He was always fiddling with his hat or playing with something with his hands. Whenever Yul Brynner's talking and Steve's in the scene, watch Steve McQueen. He's still in the scene.
I was always more of a Charles Bronson guy between all those guys in that movie.
Bronson is the unactor.
Yeah.
Like 7-Up is the uncola. He's the unactor. He is what he is, the way he talks. He's got it's not a manly voice. If you listen to it, he's really not a manly voice. He's not deep resonating. You get a voice up here. Let me tell you something here, mister. You know. But Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai. Oddly, I always thought they bought the rights. Later, I found out they didn't buy the rights to do the Seven Samurai. They thought they kind of slipshot it. And it's not the only one that they did. They also did not Centro.
Yojimbo.
No. It's the one where they're at a train station and they're reliving a story, retelling a story from all these different perspectives. A murder of a samurai. Rashomon, thank you. They did a Western remake of that with I just forgot his name. Edward G. Robinson, William Shatner, and I'm trying to remember who the fucking samurai was, or the cowboy. Oh, the dude from Alamo is in it. God, it just
wasn't Paul Newman the bandit?
Paul Newman, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up the Alamo movie because I'm trying to remember the other Western actor that was in that. Not the 2004 version, the 1960 film. There we go. Lawrence Harvey was in it too. He's the one that gets murdered. And it's a bizarre story. If you've never seen Rashomon or the Western version, let me go look see what that is called. Because it's such a bizarre movie. And like I said, Shatner's in it. Let's see, where is it at? Why are they fucking doing this?
Please pick one narrative of events.
I'm trying to remember what year that was, because I think it was like 1960. Wow, this is fucking annoying. I wish Wikipedia would make up its mind on how it's going to lay movies out on their pages for actors. All right, here we go. These are theater. Let's get to film. Film, Man on the Run, Man from Landfall. I need to get the 50s. Yeah, I Believe You, Killer Log. Wow. He did a lot more films than I realized.
Also, people like to say that Westerns are over with, but if you look at it, I mean, Breaking Bad's basically a Western.
The movie you're thinking of is The Outrage. It's from 1964.
There it is, and I just found it. Like right when you said it, here it is. The Outrage. Fuck you, Steven. Took you as long as me to find it, but good job, man. Outrage. He played the husband who gets murdered, and you see it from three perspectives in Rashomon and in the Outrage, the American version, where it basically you see it from her perspective, you see it from the killer's perspective, and then you see it from the dead husband's perspective through a soothsayer, a mystic that can talk and commune with the dead.
That sounds like a Star Trek Voyager episode that was basically Rashomon.
That's why I find it interesting that Shatner's in it. It's like it's more like a Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
When you think about it. And Rashomon, it's really good film, but it is bizarre when it gets to that point where you have this lady there speaking for the ghost of the husband. Really bizarre. But the basic principle is that you get three stories, somewhere between the three you find the truth. Is the basic idea. And it's a great film.
Oh yeah, the X-Files had an episode with vampires in it. That was basically Rashomon too.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
Which one? What?
The X-Files. They had an episode where it showed Mulder's perspective and then it showed Scully's
Oh, I remember that
perspective.
episode. Yes.
And it was
Very
written by
rock
Vince
moment.
Gilligan.
Well, Vince Gilligan, come on, man. That dude is incredible. Him and Chris Carter both. I put them both in the same area as far as the quality of work that comes from those two. And to what he did with Breaking Bad, where you find yourself rooting for the bad guy, and then gives the hero death to the bad guy of the show. And he's always constantly doing something bad, but then trying to do something good at the same time. And it's just like he's a conflicted character. And that's what's so great about that character.
I hated that. I hated him.
Well, he deserved what he got. He deserved what he got. I didn't hate him until we got to season 3. Season 3 is where he lets the girl die. His girlfriend die.
Season 2.
When he poisoned the little boy with.
Oh, that was afterward. I'm talking about with the young, beautiful chick. She looks like my daughter, Zoe. And I can't think of her name. When he lets her fucking choke on her own vomit and does nothing to help her, he became a fucking villain.
Yep.
And I hated him after that. And which season was that? So when you said it?
It's season 2, wasn't it?
Season 2? I thought it was season 3. Okay, season 2. That was when he became a villain for me. And I was rooting for his brother-in-law. And I felt bad for the kid because I hated him at first. He was so annoying, and talking like he's from the hood. It was really fucking annoying. And I ended up rooting for him. And I got to tell you, I watched the movie El Camino, a Breaking Bad story. That's a fucking good film. And I was so happy for him to get that ending. He actually got a semi-happy ending.
Yeah, and that's one of the big reasons I say Breaking Bad ultimately is a Western, because what does he finally do at the very end? The last thing.
The shootout.
He has a shootout. He has an Old West shootout with revolvers.
Anima. Let me tell you about the ending of this show. The main character, what was the character's name? I always forget his name.
Walter White.
Walter White decides that he knows he's dying from the cancer's come back. It's killing him. And he knows that his partner that he screwed over has been put into a cage in the ground, being treated like an animal. And he's held by these white supremacists with redneck Matt Damon working with him. And he lives in this fucking cage, man. And they only bring him out to make fucking drugs. And then they put him right back in his hole. Are you there?
And I think he's changed to the neck.
Oh, okay. At the end, he realizes everything he's caused. He finally has his come to Jesus moment with himself. And so he decides to go out guns blazing and save this kid. I know I put you here. I'm the cause of this, but I'm the one that's going to let you out, and I'm going to give my life in the process. And so he pulls up in his little car, and in the back trunk, he has a mounted robotic fucking 50 caliber machine gun.
No, wasn't it an M60?
Yeah, it was an M16.
I thought it was a 50.
No, it was an M60.
Okay, so it's an M60 that's on a robotic arm system that rotates it back and forth and holds it stable. And I love that one dude, like, he's like, sees the trunk open and the gun pops up and he's like, what the hell is that? And right before it happens, before he triggers it, because he has to have the lighter, as I recall, right?
It's his remote for his car.
Remote.
Like the truck.
That was it, remote. He attacks the kid, tackles him, taking him to the ground on purpose. Because he acts like he's angry at the kid and he wants to kill him. And he grabs the kid, knocks him to the ground, and that triggers that fucking gun and it kills everybody. It just obliterates that place. You see the tracers going into the building and bullets ripping through everyone trying to get away. Fucking awesome, dude. And he ends up getting wounded too. And he The kid gets away in El Camino, and he crawls over to the lab. And I can't remember what he does over there. It's like he's checking if the stuff is good, and then he dies.
He's looking at the results of his work with
The
pride
results of his
before
work.
he fucking dies.
As the cops and the feds pull up, the kid's gone. They pull up. He's laying there, and he's dead. I think in those last frames, I believe it's like the Shane argument. Is Shane dead at the end of Shane?
No. The way it's put in the script, and I read last script, the last thing is like he got away because he's dead before they catch him.
Yeah, he got away because they're dead before he was caught. Yeah, he's dead. I love that ending. I got to tell you, man, that was a roller coaster of a ride series. It really was. And to finally see Walter White come back as a good guy, giving money to his ex for the kid, and leaving and removing himself completely, all of it. And then the next series was really good too, about the lawyer. I enjoyed the crap out of that show.
Well, they managed to do something really impressive. They took a character who they originally created as a comic relief support character.
It was only supposed
and
to
they
be
managed to flesh him out.
Yeah.
To where he could hold the series.
And oh my God, what a good series. You know, he was born to be a lawyer, but he couldn't help being naughty.
Well, there's a lot with it. I mean, you know, if to go into it and you'll like this observation on it, between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I think
this comment right here.
Yes, Michael Mando is fucking great as Nacho. If you've ever played Far Cry 3, he's fucking great in that.
And I love the character of Mike. He is so good in it. I forget that guy's name. He's been around. The first movie I ever saw him in was Beverly Hills Cop, because he's the one who kills his friend that he goes hunting for him.
I forget his name all the time, but
what an actor! What an actor!
But
he's so good.
The reading I have for Breaking Bad, and I thought about this while I realized it, is that in essence, what Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul both have in common, and the big theme between both of them, is they're both characters dealing with their shadows. In the Union sense. The thing is, Walter White succumbs to his, and Saul, by the end of it, integrates it.
And I love the ending of the series, too, because if you've never watched it, just plug your ears for a few seconds. I'll be quick about this. I love the ending of Better Call Saul when he's in prison. And she shows up. And it's one of those great moments where, you know, she still loves him, and she's going to get him out. And he knows it too.
Well,
and it's kind of a happy ending.
Well, there's hope. There's hope that he can still do something with it, but you know, he's there.
Tom, that's Quick and the Dead, and I think we're going to do that. I'd like to do that over the weekend, maybe next week or the following weekend, because I don't know where we're going to get to do another Tom and Gary show where Tom's here for the whole show, because he's just fucking tweaked between things. When he comes on this show, it's because he wants to, and I appreciate it. He's one of my favorite people to hang out with and talk movies with. I was gutted how bad they did Howard, though. Yeah, look, dude.
That's the point of Howard. And Howard's a fucking great character.
He's a person who tried to have too much control over his brother, and everything. What happened to Howard was karmic law, but at the same time, it hurt because nobody wanted that to happen to him. None of the characters wanted it to happen to him. And by the way, that actor was so good. That's why you care about that character. All the cast in that show are good. And I wish I could get Anna to watch it, but she's got so many fucking shows she's already watching with me. I imagine I'll be watching shows with her into my 80s. When she's here, it'll be a lot easier because I can just pop stuff on and then she's sitting there with me and the show's going.
Until I start working, that is.
Well, Gary, a big part of the whole stuff with Howard in the first place is that's the big consequence. That's the big regret. And that's also the thing that, like, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back with everything. It's the thing that destroys their relationship and arguably their lives.
Yeah.
Because they could have turned back. right beforehand. They literally have her Wexler. She's literally driving down the road, and it's like, you think she has the option to turn back. She doesn't. And all this shit happens after as the result of it. If they hadn't gone through and tried to screw him over, he wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't have died. Yeah, they didn't know what was going to happen, but eventually there are consequences to the terrible things you do.
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate and fan of this is a movie.
Yep,
this one right
Sam
here,
Raimi.
The Quick and the Dead by Sam Raimi. I have a behind the scenes story that not many people know about, because again, I've been friends with a lot of the Detroit Mafia guys, specifically Josh Becker and Bruce Campbell. And Bruce was in my car and told a funny story about it, because the kid in the front seat, I told him, please don't ask stupid questions. Bruce gets annoyed with that. Ask questions that really have some merit to it. But he ended up asking a question that I thought at first was going, oh my God, this is going to be a stupid question. But it led to a great story. And he says, well, I heard that there was a cut scene where you're in the movie playing a bad guy that, what's his name that plays the bartender? Oh shit, what's his name? It was in Batman with Michael Keaton. Pat Hingle. Pat Hingle plays the bartender, and he's whoring his own daughter out in the film, and he didn't like that, and he kept bitching at Sam Raimi about it. And he was whining, just whining, and finally Sam Raimi does this thing where he's been doing it his whole career to get people to shut up. He'll do a fake scene, and there's no film in the camera. He acts like there's film in the camera, tells him to roll, but there's no film. It's just making noise, the clackety clack noise. And they're shooting a scene where Bruce Campbell is in costume, comes onto the set, and he's pushing her around. And Pat Hingle comes out from the behind the bar, and I believe either smacks him with a shotgun or pistol whips him for manhandling his daughter. And it was never shot. It's not on film anywhere. It's just in people's memory. And he did it to get Pat Hingle to shut the fuck up and do his role. And there you go. It's more than hate. I explained this because, like, a friend of mine, Mac, my buddy Mac, said to me one day when I said I hate Madonna, I said I really hate her, and I hate what she stands for. I hate who she is, and I really don't like her music. She did one song I liked. And he says, well, hey, it's a really strong word. Maybe you should say loathe. I said, well, you need to pick up a dictionary, man, because loathe is worse. Loathe is both hatred and disrespect. It's a mixture of the two. A lack of respect or disrespect. Loathing.
Yeah, there's a whole spectrum on
You're despising someone is worse than hate. Despising and loathing are really bad. So I said, hate is a much milder word. You think it's harsh because you've got that in your head. But I'm telling you, I know. And I told him when he was looking at me, I said, you're looking at me like you want a dictionary. I'm just telling you, I'll pull it up for you and you can read for yourself that I'm correct on that, the meaning of that word. And one of the many times I had to correct Mac. It's really not that often. I say many times, the few times, because he's a smart fucking dude.
Yeah, how evil's Madonna? She reincarnated on Earth as Lady Gaga.
Well, she did a coffee table book. She did a coffee table book, the sex book, which I have never seen. I've only seen the cover. I've never seen it in person at a bookstore. I just laughed when I saw it. Like, oh man, I wonder what fucking idiots out there bought that. I bet Shay bought it.
Only one good thing came out of that. When SNL did the audio tape version of that, and they had what was his name as Charlton Heston.
I don't think I know this.
Oh, it's a hilarious skit. It's basically this like, what is it? Oh, I'm not going to say that word. Can't I just say vagina?
Well, that's the 1995 movie, Gambit.
Oh,
that's that we were talking about. I don't know what one you're talking about. I've never heard of that other film.
No, it's an SNL sketch.
No, I'm talking to Gambit on screen. And he's been saying something, and that's why I brought up Quick and the Dead, because that's the movie we were talking about, and that's the 1995 movie. With Leonardo DiCaprio. That's the one we're talking about. Yeah. I don't know this movie.
I think that they are just playing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real movie. Or
okay. Gambit, are you fucking with me? Is that what's going on here? You dick. Now this one, I watched that movie. I love the cast. Did not like that movie. I didn't like it. I just thought it was too weird.
Quick, it has freaking Russell Crowe.
It's got a lot of people in it. It's got Johnny Depp first of all, and then it's got what's his name? Crispin Glover's in it.
Isn't Keith David in it? I'm trying to remember. Like
you're talking about different movies now.
Okay.
I'm looking up the 1995 Dead Man movie because I saw that. I saw both movies. Now I didn't see either of these in the theater. I saw them on VHS, and I saw Dead Man. I rented Quick and the Dead around the same time. Jim Jarmusch, and I like Jim Jarmusch as a writer-director. He had some great cast in there. Lance Henriksen's in it. Gary Farmer is in it. He's a great American actor, American Indian actor. Johnny Depp, Crispin Glover, Michael Wincott's in it. John Hurt's fucking in it. Iggy Pop makes an appearance. He's actually a better actor than he is anything else, Iggy Pop. Gabriel fucking Byrne is in it. Jared Harris, Richard Harris's son's in it. My God, what a cast. Jimmy Ray Weeks is in it, another good actor, character actor. And Billy Bob Thornton is in it. Oh, and Pete Schramm is in it. He's been in a lot of trucker movies, action films, and God, big burly motherfucker.
It's not the best movie, but it's like one of, if not the best cast for a movie.
Yeah. It's a great cast, terrible film. I just did not think it was very good. And I'm a fan of Jim Jarmusch, man. Brother for Another Plan, man.
Since you bring him up, Gary, have you seen Night on Earth? That's my favorite Jarmusch movie.
Oh, I love that.
One about the taxi drivers in different cities. The Italian is fucking hilarious.
No. And I'm like, that is one of the few fucking movies he made I've never seen.
We have to watch it.
And I went looking
so much fun.
I haven't been able to find a copy of it. Again, he's always good with picking his cast. You got Gina Rowland in it. You got fucking Winona Ryder. You've got Armin Mueller-Stahl, great Germanic actor. Fucking Rosie Perez is in it. Fuck her. Isaac DeBunkele. What a great fucking actor that dude is. Giancarlo Esposito is in it. Beatrice Dalle. My God, I'm looking through this list. What, just great fucking actors. Oh, Roberto Benigni.
He's the Italian taxi driver, and he's the fucking best. He has a brief time of a heart attack in his car.
He has the right director. He's good. But boy, he can fucking annoy me really quickly with his comedy.
Believe me, in this, he's great.
He's fucking Peter Sellers. And it's like, dude, you are not Peter Sellers.
No, he and the German taxi driver in New York are the best parts of this movie.
Oh, you're right. I got those two confused. John Sayles.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why is both of them are in the Sons of Lee Marvin. Tom Waits is in there too. I don't know if you know about the Sons of Lee Marvin. The actual son of Lee Marvin has tried to sue them to get them to stop. It's like, no, we can do this. You can't stop us. We're not an official organization. We don't collect money. So what are you going to do? We're just some guys that kind of remind people of Lee Marvin, and we like to hang out together, go fishing. That's what they do. They get on a boat and go fucking fishing.
Oh man, fishing with Tom Waits must be crazy.
You remember Peter Griffin when he says something about The Godfather? That's my feeling about that movie right there. And it's a Beautiful Life is the film. You keep doing this, Gambit. You keep using different words than what is in the
because he knows
title.
it fucks with you.
I know. You fucking asshole. It's a Beautiful Life is the name of the movie. And I watched that movie and I cried. I fucking cried. That cocksucker made me cry. But I got so fucking angry at the end of that movie because as he's walking off to be shot, he's looking back at that child so she doesn't freak out, and he's being a clown to her, doing the Charlie Chaplin clown shit. And then he goes around the corner and they fucking kill him. And I cried, and then I said, I fucking hate this movie. I don't want to watch it again. Because how dare he make me feel my fucking feelings?
How dare your heart beat again, Gary? It should just be dead in your chest.
So you did that on accident this time. Okay. I thought you were fucking with me.
Did he?
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. When the Sons of Lee Marvin get donuts, do they ask for a dirty dozen? I want to make a meme of that.
So what is this Sons of Lee Marvin? What's that about?
Hold on. After Hours is a film I want to do. And I got to get Anima to watch it. And I'm so afraid to show that movie to her because that one's on the ragged edge of disaster because she could really hate it or she could really love it. And I don't know. I'm just can't make up my mind. Because it does get weird. It does get weird, but I love the story because it is a Martin Scorsese film that is one of the most off-the-wall movies I've ever seen in my life. I love it. It's got the best friend who dies in American Werewolf in London keeps coming back as a dead guy that's decomposing. It's got him as the main character, and he sees this girl, and he's interested in going out to meet her, and he misses his fucking ride, and he ends up getting stuck in the city in the middle of the night, and it shows how crazy fucking New York City can get. And he ends up at one point being chased by pitchfork torch wielding neighbors because they think he might be the rapist that they're looking for that's been striking in the area. And then he ends up
be a rapist.
He ends up meeting a militant feminist who puts him in plaster, and he's stuck posed in plaster and gets stolen by Cheech and Chong as art. And the movie ends with him falling out of the fucking truck and the plaster breaks and he gets up and it's morning and he has to go to work.
Yeah, that might be just
the
too weird for
fuck?
me.
Yeah, I fucking laughed my ass off at that movie. I'm just like, I told somebody, I said, I think I was supposed to drop acid or smoke pot before seeing it, but I still enjoyed it. Because normally those kinds of movies annoy me. But I think it's a very clever film in the way it did it. And it shows this guy all he wants to do is get with this girl. He likes this girl. And then there's something bizarre with her that you see like something on her back in a reflection at one point. Like, what the fuck was that on her back? It's like, oh my God, this movie. And it's one of Martin Scorsese's unsung masterpieces of bizarre. And it is comedy. But by contrast, it's a beautiful life, or it's a wonderful life with James Stewart. Yeah, and not a hit at the time. That happened later, thanks to television. Ted Turner. I didn't fact check myself entirely, but I did. It was really. Oh, gotcha. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I guess that's about it. Unless there's anything else we need to cover.
No, I think we're done. So, but I do, want to point out that I would like to do that movie sometime, and I wouldn't mind doing it as a watch along because I really want to figure out how to do that on that program, where you share through that. I don't know, Connie, you're not just late. Jesus Christ, it's the end.
We're 20 minutes over.
You're late to your own funeral, for God's sakes.
Yeah, Gary. I mean, we'll just be in the middle of sentence, and then you'll just end the show suddenly. Like
suddenly,
right?
But, my response to you is this.
Listen, fuckwad, so you can shut the fuck up, okay?
There you
I
go.
love you too.
I love you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Remember, dysfunction is a function.
Make sure to clear the comments off the screen before playing that one. People gonna think we're saying that to Connie.
Yeah, we're not saying that to you, Connie. We love you, Connie.
Hey, remember when It's a Wonderful Mind won the Oscar with Lee Marvin?
What? With what? I was looking to end the show and you said something. I'm like, what?
I made a joke. Just end the show.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
You take a hell of a long time to say goodbye.
I've got 5 terrorists going southeast on Bakalakadaka Street.
Yeah, you think you're the only one who can play stupid shit. Fuck you, Martin.
Yeah, and you've only been cutting me off.
Hey
twice,
guys,
so
don't
that's how you
forget to
know
click
that
that
Gary's...
like, subscribe, and notification button.
I did not do that on purpose.
The
I
end
was
button.
going to hit that, and I hit it before you started talking. I'm like, oh shit.
Push the button that says end. Just
2 monkey hookers and a racist dwarf.
I think Gambit 1987, 11 Alpha, Sort of Super, John Osteen, Pastor Frank Silverhead, Play Night, Breathe by Nature, Andy Morrow, National Trail, Super Six, Dr. Moore, and Lord Dog, Josh Wolfen, Kevin Okay,
Helen Place, Soul Assassin, Mephisto, Big Al presents Soundbaker, Johnny Cleary, oh Jesus Christ.
Don't come back now.
Bye, y'all.